Jawaballs!
Hey there. Okay, this video is here by popular demand. People have asked me how I make my display boards, so I'm going to show you my step-by-step process for making them. And this is the end result. This is the display board I made when I first created my Death from Above Stompy Stomp army that I had for my PDF Blood Angels list, using Death Company Furioso Dreadnoughts. It was a three-tiered display board using this textured brick pattern as a base. And since I made it, I've kind of redone it a couple times, repaired it, torn it. It's been messed up. It's really a mess. It's really not usable anymore as a good display board. So I wanted to show as an example of where you go with the end of this project. So here's a standard display board. You use them because at tournaments, you display your army for judging for painting, and also though it's easier to carry them around. The whole point of this is that you have your army out grouped together in units so that when you're putting them on a table, you don't have to fish them out of your bag, and when you're taking them off the table, you can put them back where they belong quickly and easily. Ideally, you'll have this display board here on the end of the table, and then the rest of the table will have the gaming space. Convenience is what it's all about. So keeping that in mind, I keep my display boards at a very small 18 by 24 size, which usually fits on most tables. I've seen guys at tournaments with display boards easily twice this size. I've seen display boards that span the entire length of a table for some reason. I understand that it's more space for artistic and visual point of view, but really it's just kind of defeating the purpose of having the darn thing if you've got a display board that's 5 feet long. It's inconvenient, decidedly so. There's no place to put it. So, small is better for your display board, in my opinion. Again, that's just my opinion. So anyway, let's talk about this. For this display board, I use a standard cork board that I bought at Staples. Here is an example of a cork board. I'll come back to this in a second. A bulletin board, 18 by 24. It comes in a wooden frame like this. It looks really great. Also, I used a couple of sheets of foam core. Right here, I just put some plastic sheets of brick texture that you can buy at Hobby Town, and layered in a level of foam board, then another smaller level of foam board, and then added sand and dirt. And that's all there is to it. Then you paint it up to however you want it painted. I'll come back and talk about this in a second. This is what they look like when you buy them at the store. This is actually a magnetized dry erase board that I bought at Staples for 20 bucks. This is a really nice frame. It's got like a metal insert frame that I bought at Michael's Art Supply store with a cork board inside. And this I paid $11 for, was on sale. So you can get them really cheap. And the biggest advantage to buying these like this is they're so flimsy, or not flimsy, they're very sturdy, but they're light. You know, so a lot of guys I've seen carrying around these really heavy display boards. You don't have to. Okay, so moving on. What you do is you take a nice sturdy piece of cardboard. This stuff is an art level cardboard. It doesn't really warp as badly. It'll still warp, but not as bad. And you cut it to size. So I want my display board to fit inside the frame. So I put it down, and then I'll mark the edges here and here, and then cut out the rectangle, which I've done here. But then you have to have a plan. My plan is to set up a kind of cratered battlefield that was part of a temple for like worshipping Space Marines. As such, I've got the Space Marine model that I started painting from the Space Marine terrain set, and this also came in that set. It's like a little Gothic 40K wall. I got a piece of foam board that I cut to make a terrace, and I got some textured foam pieces to lay down for a brick-like ground texture, but also in like an exploded sandy area. So here's an angled texture piece here, and here's another one on top of a terrace. The sculpture is going to go there. I'm going to lay in the little wall here for like the walled off section. Then I'm going to put down, I put down a GW Creator painted black. I've also got this GW piece. It's got a Space Marine bike on a ruined wall. And that's probably going to go here if I decide to use it. So the rest of the space will be devoted to my models. I'm going to have my Land Raider here in the middle. My Terminators up here. My Predator tanks, like we're probably here, here, and here. Then my 4 Razorbacks here. They should all barely fit, but that's okay. It's a nice compact board. Now the key here, when you're making a display board, is to make one that complements your army. And a lot of guys like to create the ground on the display board so it looks like they're actually standing in the bases or in the terrain themselves. So what I created is a set of 10 infantry-sized bases using the same ground stuff that I use for this. I'm going to make a mold out of these and cast these out of resin. So all of my models will be based on the same material that I use to make the ground. And then when I get ready for it, I'm going to use, what I'm going to do is glue down sand here to cover up and fill the space. I'm going to put down the spaces where all of my guys are going to be standing. And I'm going to make circles tracing a standard base. And then when I put the glue down, I'm going to leave those spots open so that I'll be able to place my boys into their spots where they belong. Oh, my battery's ticking. So there it is. I'm going to make a second part of this video once it's done, and I'll show you more of the update. But before my battery dies, I wanted to come back over here and show you this. This is a little piece of brass, 1 inch by 3 inch, that I went to a jewelry shop and asked him to, engrave it for me. It just says Blood Angels Second Company. It cost me like $5 maybe, but it's a great little compliment for my display board. I'm going to make a new one for this board when it's all done. So that's the stuff you're going to need to make yourself a nice display board. This is going to go right up in here. And when it's all finished, that's the basic display board. It looks something like that. And my models will be displayed prominently on the display board. Alright, battery's dead. I will get back to you. More to come. Bye-bye.